joining us at this deep dive into taking SunSystems into the cloud. My name is Leon Burke and I'm a director here at Aquam Consulting. I'm presenting today from the Aquam office here in Docklands near the water in Melbourne. The office is located on the lands of the Wurundjeri First Nations people. The Wurundjeri have lived here for over 40,000 years. By comparison, we've only been here for about 10 years, so that gives some perspective. I want to thank all the First Nations people for the care of the lands, the waters, the animals where I live. And I pay tribute to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Today, I'm proud to announce our special guest speaker and introduce that person. That's Tim Truesdale. Tim is joining us from London. So Tim, thanks heaps for getting up nice and early. We do appreciate it. I think it's about 5 o'clock there, so really do appreciate it. What we're talking about today is Infor SunSystems Cloud. So Infor first released SunSystems into the cloud in 2017. And since then, we've been building our customers into that cloud. Tim has been the product manager over SunSystems for that entire period. And in just a couple of months, what Infor will be doing is they'll be releasing the next generation of SunSystems into the cloud. So that's what Tim's talking about today. And we at Aquam are really looking forward to that. Just before I hand over to Tim, just a little bit of housekeeping. At the moment, we've got the lines muted. We've got the chat open. Feel free to pop any questions that you have into the chat. Once we've heard from Tim, we'll go through the chat questions. We'll open up the lines so that you can ask questions of Tim in person if that's the way you'd like to do it. We're going to finish up about 2:45 Australian Eastern Time. So if you've got you've got places to be, you'll be finishing in about 45 minutes. So Tim, without further ado, I'm going to hand the floor over to you, sir. Feel free to take over the presentation.
Thank you, Leon. Well, let's see. Hopefully I can do a share here and everyone will be able to see my screen. How's that going?
Yeah, you can see your slide deck there.
Okay, wonderful. Well, yeah, thank you very much. And yes, it is early in the morning, so hopefully my voice hangs in there as we go. Very pleased to be with you, and wish I could be with you more in person, but maybe back in another couple of months, and look forward to seeing people then. I think you've introduced my role, so I won't spend too much time on that. I think you'll probably, if you've heard of me before, you'll have heard I've been around SunSystems for a considerable amount of time in various roles, but now pleased to be working in partner enablement and helping all of our partner network around the world as we launch into the release of the SunSystems Cloud, the new version that's coming up. Just a little bit of background in terms of our strategic priorities as we have been tackling the cloud development over the past few years. Infor made a decision probably about 10 years ago really to tackle cloud as its #1 priority. We have a whole variety of different applications, and it was a pretty good strategic call, I think, from the executive management then to really fully commit the whole company down the cloud route. So it does take time to take a product as deep and rich as SunSystems and bring that fully into to being completely cloud oriented. We've been working on it, as Leon said, for some 6 or 7 years ourselves, and we've had a lot of success. I'll give you some briefing on that in a moment, but we have been continuing to devote a great deal of our development effort to making the product fully cloud compliant. That really aligns up with that #1 priority for Infor generally, cloud maturity. It's an ongoing effort. Even when you are in the cloud, there's continually more that you can do to make the product more mature, more ready, and easier for our customers to deploy and to keep going in terms of things like zero downtime. So as we're keeping the product up to date, the objective is to do all that without ever taking the product down for maintenance windows, etc. We spent a fair bit of effort now in turning our sights towards industry specificity for Infor generally. I add to that geographic specificity, so making things work well out of the box down to the wire for particular locales. So that'll be something we'll spend more time on in the coming year or two. Probably the biggest new thing for me to focus on over the next year will be on the user experience. Obviously, we're continually updating the user interface, and you'll see that we brought the user interface into being browser-based, obviously, over the years. But there's a lot more to that, a lot more depth in terms of really focusing in a human-centered design approach to things, and really looking to make things as completely efficient and productive as possible for individuals operating in their own roles. And lastly, we put a lot of effort into innovation, not necessarily just in the SunSystems team, but we have a large development force who have been developing technology innovations that all of the products in Infor can take advantage of. And that's added a lot of value, you'll see now, that we can pick up in the cloud very, very easily. When we talk about the cloud, we really are talking about, as I say, not just taking SunSystems and putting it hosted in a platform as a service environment. We're talking about a true software as a service enterprise cloud environment, and that really does deliver a lot more. It's obviously about the architecture. It's about how fast we can bring customers on board and get the value out of the application that we're delivering. It's about lowering the cost of ownership, and I think very importantly, it's about continuous innovation. So once you've joined in the cloud, you're on a journey. It isn't I've come on and I've implemented that version of the software. When you're on that cloud version, it's continuously being updated automatically for you, and any new innovations become available. Any bugs that we come across are reported, obviously get fixed, and you know that it can grow with you. We have scalability and resilience built into the product. So being able to start small and scale up, very much a feature of the cloud. Again, just to emphasize the different layers, the different degrees to which we can talk about in the cloud, we see it as always three layers. There's the basic platform as a service or infrastructure as a service layer, which is, in our case, we're not a hardware company or a platform company, we're a business software company. So we rely upon AWS as the infrastructure layer, infrastructure as a service. Above that, though, we provide that whole technology layer, the platform as a service that we refer to as Infor OS, Infor Operating Services. So we'll provide a lot of technology infrastructure within that. And finally, we're also delivering SunSystems itself and our other applications, but SunSystems Q&A and other related integrated applications as software as a service. So this means you're fully managed. You're getting everything done, implemented, and maintained every month. Operations taken care of, all your backups and recovery, all your security, most importantly, I'll refer to that a little more, is taken care of by Infor. All you're really responsible for is using the application and maintaining your data. As Leon mentioned, we've been at this for a few years now. We have a very good established base on our current cloud environment, and you'll see some names there. We have around about 100 live customers at the moment, some of those being very large, particularly someone like World Vision. That's well over 4,500 named users around the world, but all the way down to people with maybe 12 named users. It has tended to focus on the larger scale customers at this stage, and we've had a very good success in those, generally up around the 100, 200, 300 users is pretty well common. Explain to you now what the big important thing is in our coming version is taking that success and bringing that to our entire customer base and our entire market, being able to deliver the SunSystems cloud experience to as little as maybe a 4 named user site. doing so competitively. What are we bringing to you in that? Well, it's the whole SunSystems package, the foundation with all of the financials modules, all of the purchasing, sales and inventory modules. So the full scale of SunSystems as an application. But it's also now supported by that whole Infor OS layer for operating services, delivering common authentication with Infor Federation Services, IFS, a mingle portal that we sit within that helps integrate the presentation of SunSystems together with all the other features, integration capabilities, workflows, alerts, document management, and extending out into things like mobile and artificial intelligence. It's a whole suite of technology that we get to layer and fully integrated into SunSystems in the cloud. And that supports our integration into other Infor applications and indeed other non-Infor applications, but things like DEPM, planning and budgeting tool, expense management, things like Pathway, our local government application, would all share this common technology platform, the same mingle portal. You'd see the same applications presented in a common framework. This new version then that I say is coming up, what's different there? Well, it's been a major update to the architecture. You won't actually see a great deal of difference at the top end. The front end, it'll be a consistent experience moving from, say, 6.4 on-premise or from our current cloud implementation through to this new cloud. New cloud version, though, is very different underneath the surface. It's fully containerized. We're really taking it down this cloud requirement of being API first. You'll see a real change in the way people can interact with the application from other applications, the way you can integrate. And lastly, an absolute focus on security. Security has been something that has grown on me, if you like, over those years of the cloud. I first thought it was just our security office being completely paranoid, and then realized that yes, they may be completely paranoid, but they need to be, given what we do. We are looking after everyone else's data, and we're responsible for that, your data. We have to do everything in our power to secure that, and that's totally the number one priority in any of our releases now. It does occur to me, and it has occurred to me over time now, that actually the concern that people used to have about putting their data in the cloud and it being, for them, a concern about security, I would say now it's the other way around. There's a realization that perhaps if you're on-premise, do you ever keep things up to date to the same way that we do? It's not just an initial implementation that's secure, it's the fact that we're constantly updating the application, the infrastructure, the whole environment to ensure that everything remains secure. We can be secure one day, and then you get something like the Log4j incident that came out last year, which revealed a latent security risk that everyone pretty much was exposed to around the world. We were able to have that fixed in the cloud within 24 hours. I think if you're on premise, bringing everything up to date, keeping it that way, is a massive cost that maybe a lot of people don't even realize that they're facing, either the cost of doing it for real or the cost of not doing it, which is then the risk of business loss of business continuity. And it's a very real risk. As I say, the new cloud version coming, it's coming in the next quarter. This is after years of working on this. This is a big moment for me, delivering this new cloud version. I say it won't actually look all that dissimilar to what you'd see with SunSystems 6.4, but it is the web user interface only, no more Windows interface. You will start to see some new browser-based components for things that were Windows-based, things like the full transfer desk suite, a new security console, etc. But those are the only bits that will look radically different. Say this is what is coming this year, Q4, due out in October of this year. We do have that full integration into the multi-tenant operating service, again in the cloud. So this is deployed in our cloud, all of us using multi-tenant OS across the different applications. We'll be picking up the very latest and greatest there, again, constantly up to date. A new portal experience from Infor, an update to what has been called Mingle in the past. So that will change the environment around the SunSystems screen itself for the better, I say. It's a very nice improvement to the look and feel. And I think importantly for those who are doing integration, a big change to the way you talk to SunSystems from other applications. So we've had long had SunSystems Connect APIs, SOAP-based APIs, slightly older technology these days, was the latest and greatest when we put them together. As we move into this new cloud, we'll be representing our APIs through the Ion API Gateway part of Infor OS. So adopting a more modern technology called REST in terms of presenting them, but otherwise supporting all of the same integration APIs and more than we have in the past. And for some, if you're used to using query and analysis, and a little pain point for some people has been the need to still have a standard security model for Q&A while we have been adopting this lovely new authentication in Infor OS called IFS. So that makes you have a single sign-on experience across all the Infor applications within that Mingle portal. Q&A will finally join that journey as well, and it will have access to the same single sign-on through Federation services. That will come out. It'll be delivered in October. We're expecting to take people on. There's a fair degree of demand sitting there waiting, but we'll take people on fairly controlled manner for this first quarter, making sure that our initial adopters are very well looked after and successful. Then we expect to move on into next year, Q1 and beyond, delivering again new updates every month. So we'll have any fixes to any issues that we encounter, obviously, but delivering new features that we'll be able to plan and show you coming for the next 2 months. We know that we'll be delivering some updates to more of those what have been Windows only components. So our drop and drag things, Windows based filter designer, form designer, etc. For the screen design, we will have those updated as browser utilities in Q1 of next year. We'll be continuing to take advantage of this new API, Ion API Gateway, and delivering additional new APIs. And we'll be integrating further into what we call the Infor Data Lake, which is a large data repository allowing you to put anything in available from both SunSystems and other applications into a common shared data repository, which is accessible for people to query. So we can drop replication of our data from SunSystems into the data lake. That makes it available again to query to other applications or to things like business intelligence tools much easier. A big new update on query and analysis, a good old vision. We will have a browser-based plugin for Office 365 for Excel in the browser, and be able to run reports directly out of that browser Excel. No design, etc. This will just be a report execution that you can distribute very widely to any of your users without necessarily them being having anything installed for SunSystems, just to pick it up and run on the browser. Beyond Q1, we start to get into the aspirational bits. We have one last major update to a Windows utility that we want to bring into a web browser delivered format, and that will be the report designer. So this is where you design purchase order layouts, etc. and operational reports. So that will be the last of the browser activity that needs to occur. And we expect at that stage on the OS side to be really focusing it on developing new APIs designed to purpose for particular business scenarios. So previous to that, we've made sure that all the generic integration APIs that you have with SSC are covered. Then we'll be providing ever more new APIs for specific business purposes. So what's the big difference? I mean, saying we've had the cloud for years. We have a very successful set of customers on there now. We're bringing out this new cloud, and I've just said it looks and feels much the same as before. The biggest difference is really that we are changing and have changed that underlying architecture to ensure a much greater degree of scalability across many customers. And that will enable us to bring those benefits of scale, not just to the big customers, but to all of our customers, our entire customer base. As I say, down all the way to a minimum of 4 named users at a very competitive annual price. So really, that's it. That's the new cloud, is the benefit of the cloud, the SunSystems cloud, for all our customer base. And we look forward to seeing what you make of it. It will continue to improve from there on in on this new base, and if you join that journey, I can assure you it's in there for the long haul for us, and I hope for you. Leon, is that about it? So sorry, I was going to say there is a roadmap, I guess, of a few of the next year or so, just to give you an idea of where we are going. 2022 has been very much focused on the delivery of the new version, as I've mentioned, suited the cloud, suited to the small medium enterprise offering, and then 23 onwards it really is continuing to mature that and make the most of all of the opportunities that things like Infor OS give to us, adopting all of the technology capabilities, making the most of them, and then turning around to things like really focusing on redeveloping our user experience, continuing to optimize that. I'll leave that for you. That's a bit on the beyond. The big thing, I guess, for now is just to introduce you to that fact of the coming new version and what it means for you.
That's great, Tim. It's not far away, is it?
It's not far away at all.
Great.
Not far away at all.
Yeah, that's cool.
Exciting times.
Yeah. Everyone, what we'll do is we'll open the mics up. If you've got anything you'd like to ask Tim, please do. If you prefer to put that into the chat, we can read those questions out as well. And I might start off, Tim. How's that? So what I might do is I might lead off with a commercial question. When moving to the cloud, let's say for a smaller site, so say 5 named users of SunSystems and Q&A, and maybe just using a single business unit in the business, how much do you think that would cost? So what would be like that's almost entry. I think you mentioned 4 users was entry level, but let's say you've got 4 or 5 users. How much would it cost annually for a SunSystems Q&A license set? So
that probably depends how much they lean on you, mate. We're really kind of aiming for certainly coming out of what we believe is for us anyway, feels like a very competitive point. We're pushing ourselves, so we're really looking to get in there with the basic users as I'm aiming for under $100 a month per additional user. There is a base price there. So if you started off on a very minimum set, we're looking for under $12,000 per annum. The minimum set. Now we get you 4 named users, 4 business units maximum, and it increases from there at under $100 per named user.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's probably around the sort of 15K mark. That includes your license subscriptions, includes your platform, includes all the security, includes underlying infrastructure, test environment. How many environments are we getting?
You're getting 3 environments.
Yep.
So you get a development, a test, and production environment.
Yep.
And yes, it's an entire managed service. So everything from the, what would be traditionally the installation. I know it takes some of the services off you, but everything from the installation to, the ongoing patching, the machine operation, if you like, the whole infrastructure underneath,
Yep.
and making sure that's kept secure. And yes, the entire operation, backups, disaster recovery. Again, if you were on premise, it would be very difficult to replicate this kind of multi-location disaster recovery capability. We used an entire AWS center, still keep going.
Yeah, gotcha. So we're de-risking the clients, de-risking all our clients by removing that key person risk in IT and outsourcing that to Infor. It's Infor's not problem, but it's your thing to manage that.
It's our responsibility. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. Might just open it to the floor. I've got a few more questions, but perhaps if you've got any questions you'd like to ask Tim, please jump in.
Hi team, this is Sumit. I'm for ESS Super. I just want to check one question about security. Would you supply us the SOC report, and would we be able to do penetration testing, or would you provide a penetration testing report on your side if you do decide to go on cloud?
Yes. So at present, the currently available version, you could get a SOC 1 report. For this coming new version, you have a SOC 2 report. We do penetration testing as part of our release process, and on a fairly regular basis thereafter. It's a constant battle. It's not just penetration testing. It's constant scanning of the source code, constant scanning of the operating environments, etc. All of our development environments. So it's a comprehensive end-to-end security environment. But the pen tests, we can say they're covered by the SOC reports. We can probably share some information about the results, but we don't allow normally penetration testing by the customer, because that to us would just look like an attack.
Thanks, Tim. And just one more question on the data residency. I'm assuming because you're using AWS, the clients would be able to select the region and then restrict the data within the region?
Yes, at the moment, and if I use the terminology, but the current offering is single tenant, and we can have that effectively deployed anywhere, any AWS center. With the new version, the scalability, it's a fully multi-tenant environment. So we would establish hidden farms in certain locations where it is commercially warranted. Obviously, the cost goes on a scaled out basis, so a bigger cost, but supporting multiple customers. So I do anticipate Australia being one of our earliest locations. So imagine London first, and I'm thinking potentially Sydney second. Yeah, so data residency is something we're aware of, and we just need to assess the customer demand in different regions where data residency is a factor, being a factor in some areas in Australia.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim. And
yeah, great.
Sorry.
Keep going.
Thanks, Tim. Maybe we'll send you a list of questions from our side. I don't want to hijack this meeting with my questions. I give other guys to ask some questions. Thanks.
Well, it depends if there's anyone asking them. Otherwise, we're most happy to respond to yours. So, Leon, I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, no, that's great. And just be aware, like in financial services, we have got clients and customers looking at single tenant as an offering too, where they want their own servers dedicated towards them for them. So that is still an offer that Infor can provide.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, I might jump in with another question just while everyone's penning their own. Okay, so Infor will handle all the patching, the upgrades. I think from memory, it's a monthly cycle that you will undertake. When we look at on-premise customers' sites, right now. The patching takes there is quite a bit of workload on our customers. They need to go through and test everything in a test environment before we go and apply it to production. We mandate that, and we mandate sign off. So can you just talk to how that would work in this cloud environment? I guess it'd be a departure from that, but if you could just outline that, that'd be great. And I suppose what I'm talking to as I'm waffling is just we're looking to understand whether it's a disruption to business, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those changes in, I guess, the whole approach of going on to a cloud development environment where we really no longer have the concept after this one version update comes out. That'll effectively be it. No more upgrades per se in that sense. What you do get is a monthly cycle of updates rather than upgrades. There's no sort of downtime to do a major upgrade. You're always on the latest. It will come. In the multi-tenant world that we're in this new version, it's the same update, the same software update, across everything. And it takes a little bit of getting used to, but if you think about other things that we use online these days, we don't get the opportunity of saying, I don't want the latest Google, if you like. It just happens, you have the latest and it works. And that's what comes back to us as development. We have to start delivering those updates in a non-disruptive way. It's changes what we do. So if we have bug fixes, then presumably bug fixes work for everyone, which has been a common thread anyway. But we have to do that. We have to make sure we get it right. When it comes to new features coming in, we'll introduce them in a kind of incremental, non-disruptive way, and that might just mean there are any small things that we can just sort of the change without training, etc. Or it might be that we toggle them off, that you only, they're introduced, but you're only going to see them as and when you choose to configure to use them. Otherwise, your operations continue undisturbed. That, for the most part, will be it. It'll be there. You'll be able to maybe look at it in the test environment, start to configure to use new features if they're of interest. But otherwise, your existing operations, it's our responsibility to make sure they continue undisturbed.
Yeah, that's great. So, yeah, that does. What I'm hearing is that the onus on finance for doing a lot of this testing will be absolutely reduced.
Yes, yeah.
Less disruptive.
We obviously want you to test new things that you want to bring in. Say you as a partner may work with people, inform them of new things that are there. And perhaps explore the options and the opportunities, but you shouldn't need to be concerned that updates are going to break your business.
No, very good, very good. Just back out to the floor. Any other questions that you have for Tim? Yeah, I've got a couple more, Tim. I'm going to fire away on.
I know I can always rely on you to hit me with the hard questions at the start of the morning.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's so with the people who are here today, like they might be from finance, and think it's not necessarily going to affect them so much on whether it's cloud or whether it's on premise. What are some of the benefits and what are some of the things you'll foresee for the finance group here in moving to cloud? What are some of the reasons they would want to do that?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's the whole finance look after the finances as well. So I do believe when people do a good cost-benefit analysis of it, that it makes financial sense. Always that I've seen, it always makes financial sense if you're really properly accounting for the costs of what you're doing on premise or what you should be doing on premise in order to maintain a secure and robust solution. So maybe it's because it will take away some risks because you're not currently investing in making sure the things are up to date and secure, etc. Take away all those business risks, and then just the ongoing side that once you're in there, you're not having to worry about the technology, but you are getting the benefits of the technology. As I say, a great deal of added value in that Infor OS stack, bringing SunSystems into a whole different world with things like workflows, alerts, document management included, all those added value things, improved integration, etc., can make your operations a lot more productive and efficient. Get that effectively for free in your subscription. And it's if you were buying that, I can assure you, when we were selling that independently, just that OS operating services separately, you actually paid more for that than if you buy SunSystems and include it. So you're getting massive value in terms of the the extra functionality there. And then I think it is just the fact that you've kind of bought into a continuous future. You really only have to worry about the business side of the business functionality of the application. You're going to have a lot more options available to you, both in terms maybe of the scope of the application that you take. You've got all of the application available to you, and with all the the future developments just becoming available to you as you go, without ever needing to stop the business, disrupt it, and go for one more massive upgrade every couple of years. It's a different experience not having to go through that disruption. Yeah, absolutely. That's the disruption to our clients when we need to do upgrades, and quite often those upgrades are driven by technology requirements and outdated platforms and the like. So I can see that really improving the life of finance is probably a little bit stronger a term, but it really will reduce. Nobody particularly wants to worry about those things, but they do end up driving and forcing change, forcing disruption, even though you're not necessarily looking and thinking about the any additional benefit. So it becomes a very unpalatable,
seamless,
costly exercise, and that just goes away.
Gotcha. Okay, back out to the floor. Just for final questions. Perhaps we've got about 5 minutes to go. So if there's any other questions from the audience. Okay, no, but that's cool. If there are any other questions that you do have, please feel free to drop me a line or drop any of the Acquam team a line. We'll be able to feed back answers to you. We'll be able to get in touch with Tim. We'll be able to get in touch with the whole of product management. Additionally, in September, we've got a SunSystems product advisory board meeting, which Acquam sits on in early September. So we'll be able to ask questions of Tim and of Joe Vargas, of Andrew Newman, all the executives at Infor in early September in that meeting. So feel free to drop us a line.
But that's probably a little
we might do is we might conclude.
A small update on that. Just to reinforce what you were saying there. Those names that we're talking about there are the executive now running SunSystems and SunSystems as a business, and it's been a big change we've made over the past year to really refocus SunSystems as a business unit with its own independent management as a focused business within Infor, which for us as a product, I think works a lot better and enables us to get closer to you as the partners and the customers. So I hope you're seeing a difference in the communications that we're bringing out to those levels. And if you have interest in following up on anything, say I'll probably be out, Leon, back out in early November your way, I think. So please feel free to look at the possibility of catching up then.
Perfect, just in time for Cup Day. Melbourne Cup Day.
Yeah, it is actually. It is right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tim, thanks heaps for your time. Do appreciate you getting up really early. Do appreciate you sharing the insights and what the next few months are going to look like. I can't wait for October. Really excited, really looking forward to it. Just to thank our team. Kerry, thank you very much for pulling this all together. They don't organise themselves, these things, so I do appreciate that. Ryan, thank you for looking after all the tech today. Thank you to the Acquam team for all their input and their questions off camera today too. So thank you all. Thank you to all our customers and all our friends for coming along today. We do appreciate it. Everyone keep an eye out on LinkedIn, on email. We'll be running other sessions over the next month or two. Our next session is a tips and tricks session with our own Phil Walsh. Phil will be taking us through the intricacies of data auditing next week, so on the 30th. So if you're interested in tightening up controls within SunSystems, feel free to jump on that top of the hour tips and tricks with Phil Walsh. That's all we have for today. Thank you again, everyone, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. That was great.
Thank you all.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Cheers.